Testing microphone, 1, 2. Testing microphone, 1, 2. Testing microphone 1 2. Hey everybody, how's it going? It's Biff back with you again tonight. Welcome back to the channel. Hope everybody's doing well. It's good to see everybody. As usual, had a big crowd in here yesterday, like 12 people at one time, like 14 people at one time in my channel. That was pretty cool. Shroom, what is going on? Welcome. Nice to see you. Let's see, I'm not seeing you in my chat list, but I did have a little hiccup with the stream when I first started up. My start microphone, my microphone toggle switch is right below my stream start toggle switch. So I actually hit that on accident, and I'm not sure if it went to the full screen camera or where it went to. But I think what I'm going to do here on I think what I'm going to do here is I'm going to change this to what I'm going to do is put right back, be right back, messages. What's messages abbreviated? MSGS? That's probably good. Let's see if I can pull this down a little bit to bottom. Maybe just go up here. It just pushes it further up. Okay, that's good right there. Okay. I just want to move some of these around. Like my Be Right Back music. No, not that one. Didn't move. Okay. I don't want to change this, but I do want to bring this over to here. Okay. Now, my home page. This is Be Right Back. Because I've got different Be Right Back messages, kind of depending on the situation. Let's see. Stream start, stream end. Okay. Then we're going to go to my camera shots, my Be Right Back messages. Okay. And then maybe copy microphone on off over to here. Paste that in there. And do this. Oh. So I want to do an extra page here, but I want to drag this page over here. And that one goes there. That's still there. Okay. Okay. Yeah, just doing a little bit of arranging on my Stream Deck. What's going on, Shroom? Welcome. Just so I have stuff kind of, or hopefully kind of organized. And I just wanted to get something organized so that I have like my be right back messages. I've got be right back with music, be right back game only, desktop capture, and be right back. And I've got these different things, so I want to kind of get them organized so that I can, when I want to like go on a break or something, which reminds me I need to set a timer for an hour because I stay seated here way too long. And I need to start getting up and walking around and drinking water. No, I've been playing. I don't know if you've seen any of my VODs. I've been playing. I did want to change this. I did want to change the display on this. Oh, you know what? I can't look at it here because I'm signed in upstairs on my laptop. So I guess we'll just have to. I can't look at any deal right now. I looked at it earlier today. But what I actually looked at, I can. So let's do that real quick. I'll go back over here real quick. I'm still here, everybody. I'm just checking out something here. Oh boy. Oh, nice. Whereabouts are they from? Where are you from? What? Just a general like geographic area. I'm gonna log back in on here because okay. Let's see. I will be right back. Very nice. So you're from Ontario? You live in Ontario? I think that's where the Avalanche were from. Quebec? They were the Quebec Nordiques. And your brother moved to Iowa? That's nice. That's cool. That's very nice. I've got a bunch of family here where I live. So you click on my wait list. Oh, let's see if any of the stuff that I've been looking out for. Oh, it's on sale. Broken Arrow. I won't be playing it. It's much too violent, verbally and physically violent for my stream. I'm not a real-time strategy kind of player anyway. As you can see from my from my games of choice. My games of choice being basically turn-based games. Because I like to be able to think a little bit. I'm just not a Twitch player. Probably the closest I've ever been to being a Twitch player is when I played World of Warcraft, which, you know, technically if you're involved in a raid or something, a big raid, that's pretty much real-time strategy where you're reacting to everything in the raid and following the instructions of the raid leader and all that. That's really probably the closest that I got to being a real-time strategy player. Nothing on Is There Any Deal for me. Okay. Let's go into Steam. Well, that's what I was going to do over there. Let me go back over there again. Go back over here because what I was going to do is I'm probably going to have to do that offline. Yeah, I'll just clean that up a little bit. Okay, so now we're into Steam. So let's go to here. I think actually part of my stream last night, I streamed, I was streaming Football Manager, and I think I actually streamed it with my camera down in the left-hand corner here, bottom corner. And that's not where it's supposed to go. It's actually supposed to go up here. But I left that on and I was streaming it, and I got to remember to change that because this camera actually here is bigger than this one over here. This one's tinier. So let's see, anything interesting on Steam. Rematch, Peak, Out of the Park Baseball, 26, still $50. Dune Awakening, which I thought about buying. A friend of mine was looking at it too, but I tried the demo, and it's a couple things. It's very violent and it's grindy from the gameplay the little gameplay that I did when I was doing the demo. It's very grindy. Like you've got to grind, you're grinding mats and stuff like that. And you know, you're building your base, you're grinding for mats, it's just, I don't know, it is an MMO. I think it's an MMO RPG, but it reminded me too much of World of Warcraft, which I played a lot of, and basically I just stopped playing it. For one thing, because I got remarried, and for another thing, we had a baby, and for another thing, I just got tired of the grind, of the leveling grind. So let's see. I already checked my queue earlier, but let's see what's in here. Victoria 3 Charters of Commerce. I have the game. I haven't bought any of the DLC. They're still working on the game. They're still working on the game. You can see here all reviews 35,000, mixed 68%. The thing is, since its release back in 2022, about 4.5 years ago, almost 5 years ago, I know, 2.5 years ago, almost 3 years ago, it's gone through a lot of changes. I haven't played it in a while, and I don't even know if I would really recognize the gameplay loop, and that it's just they've changed it a lot. And you can see here, it continues to get mixed reviews. You know, every country plays out the same, nothing to differentiate between each other. This is a game that I bought pretty close to release date, so I may have paid close to full price for it, which I don't normally do. I normally will wait. Right. A Twitch streamer, not a Twitch player. Exactly. I just don't have the fast twitch muscles. If I had the fast twitch muscles in these hands, I'd be playing guitar like Eddie Van Halen, not playing or like Phil Keaggy. Actually, I'd be playing guitar like Phil Keaggy. I wouldn't be playing video games. Um, let's see. Charters of Commerce, Kindergarten 3. My daughter just graduated from kindergarten. It's the long-awaited threequel. Explore a new school with old and new friends and new ways to get ruthlessly. Oh, come on, people. You know, I was thinking about it. What was I thinking about earlier tonight? Oh, my daughter. We watched the Great British Baking Show, which is actually a pretty good show. We really enjoy it. There is a contestant now on the show who is my daughter came running in the kitchen. I was cleaning up in the kitchen a little bit after dinner. My daughter came running in. She's watching the show. She said, "Dad, there's this guy on there named Tom, and he said he likes horror movies, but I like him because we don't watch horror movies. For one thing, you know, we can't even watch Star Wars. She gets scared of Star Wars. I don't blame her. There's some scary stuff in some of these movies, you know, even if it's rated G, there can still be scary stuff in there. It can scare a little kid. Um, but I told my daughter again, I don't like scary movies and horror movies. And when I thought about it for a second, I thought, you know why I don't like these movies? Because they're not actually, you think about these movies like Halloween and like some of these other ones, Freddy, they're not horror movies. They are mass murderer movies. These characters are mass murderers. And that's what people like to go see at the movie theater. I'm like, I'm not into that at all. In fact, I remember we went to see my late wife and I a long time ago went to see Hannibal Lecter. And in one scene in the movie, he's performing like it's not a good scene. I got up and I walked out. I got up and I walked out. We're actually in the movie theater with my daughter and my husband, my older daughter and her husband. And I think they bought us the tickets, maybe. You know, they wanted to go see this movie. I got up and I walked out. I'm like, I'm not going to sit there and watch that. And my wife came out. I was sitting right outside the theater. I thought, well, I'll just wait out here for him. I was sitting on a bench out there. She said, come on back in. They bought your ticket and everything. I said, you know what? I'll pay them back. I'm not sitting in there and watching that crap. I'm just not. And I don't know if she went back in the movie or not, but I'm just like, hey, I'm not watching that crap. So yeah, I thought that tonight. I thought, you know what? These movies, they're movies about mass murderers. It's like, if that's what you guys want to watch, go right ahead. I'm not watching it. So that's my little rant on that stuff. Right. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I know in the end, you know, they usually get their comeuppance or whatever, but um that's not my cup of tea. I'd rather watch a good comedy. That's why I have in my thing over here. Do I still have it down there? Torquay. I don't know if you've ever heard of Faulty. Hey, Ragtag, what's going on? Yeah, I don't know if you ever heard of Faulty Towers, British sitcom. with John Cleese from Monty Python's Flying Circus. Card Shop Simulator Multiplayer. Ah, now it's got multiplayer, huh? You and your friends are going to compete to see whose card shop can earn more money. Starting from a humble little shop, decorate your store, hire staff, formulate marketing strategies, finally, use the coolest cards to engage in card battles and win away your friends' precious cards. Well, that's interesting. I've seen this stream just as Card Shop Simulator, I think it was. It actually might be a totally different game. Um, I don't know. Yeah, Faulty Towers is great. I love Faulty Towers. I love comedy. I love to laugh. Um, I just love to laugh. I'd prefer to laugh. I'd prefer to laugh and just watch something like Full Out and laughing than sitting there like this the whole movie. You know, besides not liking it on a psychological level or a moral level, those kinds of movies, I don't like them just because I don't like to be scared. Okay? I don't like to be scared. So that's my take on it. Everybody's got their own everybody's got their own thing, but I just not into it. Chinese Frontiers. Build a great wall and lead your village to glory in this immersive building and management simulator. Explore medieval China, develop your settlement, manage NPCs, and construct monumental structures. Your choices will shape the fate of an empire and leave a mark on history. Interesting. It is out. It is a full release. It's not in early access. So that's probably going to have to be it's going to have to sit in the oven a little while. I really enjoyed the prologue, which wish listed and was looking forward to the release. What a disappointment at the moment. It's a broken, buggy mess. 3 side quests bugged so far. There are trees, rocks, and vegetation appearing in the sky. The game start is far removed from the prologue, which served as a good tutorial. If I had not played and enjoyed that, I would probably have been totally lost and refunded. Well, maybe they can fix it. I'll put it on my wish list because I like city builders. Yeah, see, I think I've seen Taxi Driver one time. In some movies, I see just once is enough. I saw Deer Hunter one time. Now, see, another a Robert De Niro movie that I liked and I would watch again and I would recommend to other people is Meet the Parents. That's a great comedy with him and Ben Stiller. That's a great comedy. I love comedies. But the other stuff, not so much. I um I've seen um I'll think of it at some point. Anyways, yeah, I'm just not into the violence, really. I don't like first person shooters. This one reason is the Twitch part of it. The other reason is you're just running around shooting stuff. It's like, I was thinking about it the other night. I was thinking one of the games that we played when we were kids, we called Guns. Let's play Guns. And, we pretend, our finger and thumb were a gun and we'd hide in the neighborhood. It was more like hide and go seek. But you didn't have to run back to a tree. You just had to hide. And if somebody found you, you had to shoot first with your gun, with your finger. But I mean, where we got that game from, I have no idea. Oh, the movie I was thinking of was Apocalypse Now. Seen Apocalypse Now. That was that's a good movie. It's, strange, but it's good. Um, I wouldn't watch it again. I watched it when I was a lot younger. Um, what other? I think I've seen Goodfellas. That was way too violent for me. Um, like I said, I like comedies. I like Lord of the Rings. I like Star Wars. I like Star Trek. I like any other famous like trilogy movies out there. I'm probably missing some, but yeah, that's just me. Star Overdrive. Star Overdrive is a high-speed action adventure set in an open world. Looks pretty open. Race across an alien planet on your hoverboard, mastering tricks. Yeah. Cell Command. Turn-based tactics meets Snake, a new roguelike in the Genome Guardian universe. Splice DNA to create new units, enhance their genetics, and take on the Abyss virus once more in a variety of different modes and match types. Hey, Greasy, what's going on, man? Welcome back. Nice to see you. Nice to see you. Let's see, I have somewhere around here, I've got something turned up. I've got the sound turned up. There it is right there. Am I dropping frames? No. Okay. Well, let's close that because I don't think I'm going to use that. Let's leave that open. Let's see. Where's OBS? There it is. Okay. Go back over here to Steam. Let's see, best camera spots. Where is Steam? Do 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 do. This should be okay right there. Hey, Greasy, good to see you. I thought Apocalypse Now was kind of cool. I mean, it's in some spots it's kind of like an idealized vision of war. Like when they're on the beach and was it Robert Duvall's character stops to go surfing after they attack this Vietnamese village with rockets and stuff, and they fly in with the Ride of the Valkyrie, and then they attack this Vietnamese village, blow everything up, land, and then they're going out surfing on the waves. It's got to be what, on the Pacific Ocean, the beach on the Pacific Ocean, maybe in the Tonkin Gulf. Yeah, I'll tell you what a good critique of war is. Saving Private Ryan. That's based on a true story. But anyways, when they're in there and Robert Duvall gets out and he's talking to somebody, and there's like, you can stop and go surfing, and he's like, yeah, and they said something like, well, what about the enemy? He goes, Charlie don't surf. I guess Charlie was their name for the Vietnamese, the Viet Cong or whatever. Charlie don't surf. Um, yeah, there's just so many. I was just saying earlier, Greasy, that my daughter was saying about she's watching a show, The Great British Baking Show, which we like to watch. There was a contestant on there said he liked horror movies. And she said, I like him. She liked him because of his accent and the way he looked. I said, I don't like horror movies. And after I said it, she went back in. I thought to myself, anymore, horror movies are basically glorifying mass murderers. I mean, that's what they do. Characters like Jason, characters like Freddy, those kind of characters. What Hannibal Lecter? It's a glorification of mass murder. It's just not into it. Saving Private Ryan, I've seen it. I think I've seen it once. I think I've seen it once, and I don't know if I could watch it again. It's just heartbreaking at the end. Another movie that I've only seen once and I don't think I could ever watch again is Schindler's List. I don't think I could ever watch that again. Saw it in the movie theater, big screen. That is a very powerful movie. But like I said, I like comedies. I love comedies. I like comedies. I like science fiction. I like fantasy. Specifically, I tend to watch movies that I like, and I can watch if I like a movie, I can watch it a lot, over and over and over. It's kind of like you guys have probably had the experience where you're best viewers on stream. Yeah, we're gonna do this. Do over here. I click on something over here. I know there's a way to do this. Maybe do this over here. Oh. That first time batter is or chatter is going to get banned. Bye bye. Have I seen Life is Beautiful? No, I think I've heard about it. Um, is that the one with Adrian Brophy? Is that his name? I I've heard about it, but I haven't seen it. Let's see. Chronicles of the Wolf. Hunt the legendary beast of Gavaudan. Gavaudan? In Chronicles of the Wolf, step into the boots of Matteo Lombardo in this epic adventure featuring brutal bosses, vast castles, and secrets to uncover. Narration by the legendary Robert Belgrade and other special appearances. They're going all out on that one. It requires a controller to play. Playing with a keyboard and mouse isn't supported. So it sounds like this might be like a port. Is this a port from maybe a cell phone or a mobile game port? Kind of looks like it could be that based on the side scrolling thing here. I only saw the one. I saw the one that has Ray Liotta is in it. I think he's maybe a private investigator or something who's trying to track him down. Um, that's the Hannibal one that I saw. I think it was called Hannibal Lecter. I mean, I'll tell you why they're like that. Anger, hatred. I go back to this. I wrote something up on this on Facebook. Um, go all the way back to the beginning. Go back to the beginning of recorded history in the Bible. Yes, the Bible is recorded history. Go back to the beginning. What was the very first crime that was committed outside of the garden? Genesis chapter 7, maybe? No. Genesis chapter 4. Um, Cain was angry. He was angry with his brother because his brother's offering was accepted and his wasn't. So what did he do? He murdered his brother. So look back on the history of war, look back on the history of mankind. What is the signature sin of mankind or the signature crime of mankind? It is murder. That is the signature crime of mankind. Murder, hatred, anger leads to hatred, hatred leads to murder. It's the signature crime of mankind. That's why they do it, is because they hate, they're angry, and they hate. But yeah, it's the earth is filled with murder. I have a good book for you to look at, Ragtag. I'm not sure if you can get it. I know there is a version of it, an updated version of it on Amazon. It's called Evidence That Demands a Verdict by Josh McDowell. And he goes through all the, first of all, the copy that I have, I actually bought an updated copy that I haven't read yet, and I'm reading through the original, which I think goes back to 1975. So they've done a lot more research. There's a lot more archaeological evidence, a lot more textual evidence. But out of all the ancient texts that we have as humanity, the Bible is the most supported text of ancient literature. And he goes into details about how many copies of like Plato's writings or Socrates or Aristotle, how many copies we have of those. They're in the hundreds, like the high hundreds, maybe 800-900. There are tens of thousands of copies of texts in that are from the Bible. Like the best example is probably the Dead Sea Scrolls. The Dead Sea Scrolls is what they actually, from something I read within the last couple of months, they actually are dating the Dead Sea Scrolls now to not at the time when the Qumran community was living around the time of Jesus, but they're actually dating those because of the language that's used in it, the letters that are used in writing out the words of the text. You can actually go back and say, okay, well, this was the shape of this letter at this time, and this was the shape of the letter 100 years earlier, and on and on. They're actually dating a lot of these scrolls back to almost the original time when the author wrote them. So, well, the Dead Sea Scrolls are manuscripts, but like I said, they're dating them now. They're reconfiguring their dating, not from the time that they were found, possibly copied by the Qumran community, but there are scrolls there that they're finding that can actually go back to almost the time that they were written, like 600 BC, 700 BC. So, but anyways, it's a great book. Evidence That Demands a Verdict. But be prepared, because this guy who wrote this book, Josh McDowell, these are notes from his doctoral thesis. And it's like reading a textbook. I mean, I'll bring my copy down tomorrow night. It's like reading a textbook. It requires some dedication to read through it, because there is so much information in there, so many citations and stuff like that. So, oh, this is my wish list. Chinese Frontiers, Locomotion, Soccer Boss. This is that there. So I think I'm done actually with my queue. So let's go back into startup. So I got a achievement yesterday. It is Goal Rush. Your team scored in 20 consecutive competitive matches. I think that is an example of faith. I can steer you to another, if you want to look up creation.com videos on YouTube. They have pretty convincing evidence that, for example, what is the Hubble telescope was able to look out to, I don't know, like Redshift 12 or something like that. That's some of the pictures that it got of galaxies. And I guess there's a real famous one that has thousands of galaxies in it. And that's from the Hubble telescope. Well, they sent up, 2022? They sent out the James Webb telescope, and they got scientists' predictions were that there would be either no galaxies, because they're saying they're looking back in time. They're looking back in time when these galaxies were first being formed. They said there'd be either no galaxies, there'd be galaxies that were just forming, but they would not be fully formed. And also, what was the third one? Oh, that there wouldn't be many of them. And then there was a third point too that they were making. And that was at Redshift. They were going to look as far past Redshift 14 as they could. So they got these images from the James Webb telescope all the way out to Redshift 20. And there's thousands of galaxies fully formed. Oh, the other thing is that they said that these galaxies that are at the edge of the redshift, that were as far back as we can look, towards, like, I don't know, 200, 300 million years after the Big Bang, they said that the galaxies would not have any heavy elements in them. So those three things, no galaxies, very lightly formed galaxies, no heavy elements. So they did this. Yeah, they said anyways, they went up to Redshift 20, and there are thousands of fully formed galaxies that have heavy elements in them. And this was back in 2022. And the gentleman who did this presentation, his name is Dr. Jason Lisle, Lisle. He said he predicted, before James Webb was launched and before they got these photos, he's predicted exactly what they would find. Scientists were predicting either no galaxies, very small, unformed galaxies, and no heavy elements. And he went and he made his prediction. I think when James Webb, his prediction was based on the Bible, Genesis. He said, I believe when they launch James Webb and they take these photos, he's an astronomer, a doctorate in astronomy or something. He said, I think they're going to find fully formed galaxies as far out as James Webb can look, and there's going to be a lot of them. They're going to be fully formed, and there's going to be heavy elements. And he kind of blew me away with one of the things he said, because I hadn't thought about it before, because I don't think about these things. He said they were expecting to find light elements. Hydrogen, helium, lithium were the elements that they were expecting to find. He said, I think they're going to find lots of galaxies, fully formed, heavy elements. And that's exactly what they found. They were astounded because they thought they weren't going to find, they thought they were looking at the edge of creation and that they weren't going to find many galaxies, sparsely populated, not fully formed, and no heavy elements. They found the heavy elements, and he said, do you know how I know they found heavy elements? He said, because in the Bible, it says, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. And the earth was without form and void, and darkness covered the face of the water. The earth was originally water. How do I know that they would find oxygen in those photos that they took at Redshift 20? Water's made of hydrogen and oxygen. So that's one of the first things God created was oxygen, so he could make water. It's just amazing. I'm just amazed by it. Just amazed what they're finding now. I watched a video today about how they refuted Charles Darwin and how most evolutionists today don't want to talk about Darwin. And he basically said, Darwin created all of his theories in a vacuum of knowledge. He had no idea what scientists have found about the human body and about biology and procreation and all that stuff. And he said, he made the good point, and I believe he's right. He said, Darwin was not a scientist. He was a philosopher. And his theories were all based in a vacuum of knowledge. He didn't have the knowledge to make the suppositions that he did. So, anyways, I love that stuff. Yeah, see, my faith in God is this. My faith in God is this. If there's a God, okay, let's just suppose. If there's a God, in our minds, our finite minds, if there's a God, he can do anything. He can do anything he wants. I mean, I can imagine a God in my imagination. I can imagine a God who can do anything he wants. He can say it like the genie in the lamp, right? Like the genie in the lamp. He can say it and it happens. Yeah, they actually, that's another, I would check out on creation.com videos on YouTube because they talk specifically about Darwin's finches, I think it is, when it was actually somebody else who discovered Darwin's finches. Um, yeah, I mean, I haven't read any biographies on Darwin, um, but apparently, and I haven't even looked it up on Wikipedia to check these things out. But from what I've read, he was a philosopher. He wasn't in a position to make sweeping pronouncements about evolution. I mean, his main thing on evolution was natural selection. And guess what? Yeah, natural selection is real. Natural selection is real. But natural selection doesn't lead to evolution. And there's another video that talks about mutations in species. And mutations are not beneficial. Mutations damage the biologic. They're not beneficial. They damage, like cancer. Cancer is caused by a mutation in our body's cells. It's not beneficial to us. So how mutations, how there's evolutionists are coming out now and saying about mutations, how mutations caused the species to grow and to advance, and changes were made. That's not what mutations do. Mutations degrade the species. It doesn't improve them. Yeah, I do too, Greasy. I remember hearing about that too. Um, but anyways, what I was going to say, if there's a God, I believe there is. I believe he can do anything. And I believe, you know, there's two main things I believe he can do. He can create. He didn't need 6 days to create. He could have spoke it all in to existence in a moment of time. But he did create in 6 days, and on the seventh day he rested. And that is a pattern for man. You work for 6 days, you rest on the seventh day. That's a pattern that he set up, but also he did it for other reasons. If you read in the Bibles, in Genesis, first chapter of Genesis, couple of chapters of Genesis, there was light before the sun, the creation of the sun and moon is mentioned. There's light. So God created light in the beginning. God created the heavens and the earth, and God said, let there be light, and there was light. And for my faith, because if you're an evolutionist, you have faith in evolution, because evolution is it's a theory. It's not proven. You can't prove evolution. Why can't you prove evolution? Because nobody saw creatures evolving from microbes all the way up into a biologist. So there's no proof. The Bible has proof. There's eyewitness proof to the creation, and that is God. He is the eyewitness proof. He was there. He was doing the creating. He related that to Moses. Moses wrote it down word for word as God led him to write it down, as he was led by the Holy Spirit. But the other thing God can do, if God is God, is that God can make sure that he has delivered to mankind a 100% accurate record of who he is and how he has interacted with mankind over the last 6,000 years. If he's God, he can do that. People say, well, I don't know about those writings, how, they transcribe stuff down, and then they, the next generation, they wrote it down. And, what about mistakes that were made? And if God's God, he can make sure that we have an accurate record. So he can create, he can make sure we have an accurate record of his creation, of how he interacted with mankind for the last 6,000 years. So, Ragtag, for a while I didn't believe in dinosaurs, but watching some of these videos, I've changed my mind about it, because I believe that God could have not could have, maybe he did create dinosaurs. And dinosaurs were everything was wiped out by the flood, by Noah's flood. And so maybe he did create dinosaurs. I don't know. Actually, Ragtag, I've heard a view on that too. And here's the thing, is that the Bible teaches, and I've talked to my daughter about this today, because she got into some trouble today, and she was doing some stuff that she shouldn't have been doing, and I've warned her about doing, and she got into some trouble. And I told her, I said, what did God tell Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden? He said, you see these thousands of trees and bushes and stuff with all this food on it? You can eat any of that. But don't eat from this one tree, because the day that you eat of it, you will die. And the translation of that is dying, you will die. Meaning that when Adam and Eve ate of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, they died spiritually. And their spiritual death led to physical death. So anyways, so the thing is that the wages of sin is death. The Bible teaches that very clearly. The wages of sin is death. The first Adam sinned. He brought sin into the entire human race. So then there's original sin. So we're born sinners. We're not sinners because we sin. We sin because we are sinners. The Bible teaches that God had a plan of redemption for mankind through Christ dying on the cross, the Lamb of God. If you follow through the Jewish rituals of sacrifice that God instructed them, this is what you do. You take a lamb of the first year without spot or wrinkle. You bring the lamb into your home for 2 weeks, and then you slaughter the lamb. And then you roast the lamb, and that is your Passover meal. Well, Jesus, I think that was atonement. Passover was like, that was supposed to atone for their sins for like the whole year, I think. Don't quote me on that. But my point is that Jesus then, that's a type of Jesus. That is a precursor, a pointer to Jesus. Jesus is the Lamb of God. Jesus came, he lived a sinless life. He became the perfect sacrifice for the sins of mankind. He died on the cross. The point they make about this with evolutionists is this. If God's creation is 6,000 years ago, if Adam and Eve sinned 6,000 years ago, got kicked out of the garden, Jesus came about 4,000 years later, died on the cross, rose from the dead. If that all happened, what they're saying is if there was evolution happening before that, and there was death and dying and suffering before that, then the Garden of Eden, Adam and Eve, it just kind of negates all of that. That all of that suffering and stuff for millions of years, hundreds of thousands of years, was why did all that suffering have to happen? I don't remember completely the order in which they present it, but it's very compelling. It's very compelling. So yeah, I mean, like I said, I believe that if there's an all-powerful God, I do believe in an all-powerful God. I mean, he represents himself as Jehovah. El Shaddai, I think, means the Almighty in Hebrew. So he is the Almighty. He is the Almighty. He does what he wants to do, and he can do whatever he wants. Like I said, in the human imagination, you can imagine somebody like that, because superhero movies do it all the time. You know, you've got a hero that's, can do anything. Well, God is so much higher than our finite minds can understand. It's like I reminded my daughter of a verse from Isaiah where the Lord says, as the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts. Imagine how higher the heavens are than the earth. What, trillions, 20 trillion light years? Probably more now that James Webb has looked out to Redshift 20 and found thousands of galaxies fully formed. Yeah. We can't even begin to comprehend. Paul said, the Apostle Paul said, eye has not seen, nor ear heard, nor has it entered into the heart of man what God has prepared for those who love him. So, incomprehensible. And it's just incomprehensible. Right. Yahweh is, I'm not sure about all all of the names and stuff. I know El Shaddai is the Almighty, Jehovah Jireh, our provider, Jehovah Nisi, I think, is our healer. Jehovah Shalom is our peace. Well, Jehovah Jireh, God our provider. Jehovah Shalom, God our peace. Jehovah Nisi, Jehovah Nisi, God our peace. No, Jehovah Nisi, God our healer. Jehovah Shalom, God our peace. No, I don't think heaven's in this universe. Actually, Paul was very modest as a Christian. I don't know if you guys know the story. It's in the book of Acts. I don't know the exact reference, but Paul was traveling along the road. This is after Jesus ascended, after the crucifixion, after the resurrection, after Jesus ascended into heaven. The apostles started preaching the gospel. Paul was one of the group of Jews who were persecuting the new Christians. Stephen was the first martyr. He was stoned to death. And Paul, the Bible says that Paul was standing there with Stephen's executioners. He was holding their cloaks while they stoned Stephen. Paul talks about that. In some of his letters, they're kind of autobiographical. He describes some things that he did and his life and his travels and stuff. But he said, I knew a man once who ascended into the third heaven. And again, I don't know the reference. I'd have to look back at it. But this is something that I learned too, and this is what the speculation is, at least from the Christian theological point of view, is that the first heaven is the atmosphere surrounding the earth. The second heaven is outer space. And the third heaven is where God dwells. So basically there's the first heaven is the atmosphere around the earth. The second heaven is the universe. And the third heaven is where God dwells. I don't know. I almost kind of think of the universe because even scientists now are saying they think the universe is flat. And I'm kind of like, how can it be flat? I imagine a piece of paper, really thin piece of paper that's really flat, and it's expanded out. It's like an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper, but it's flat. But I mean, if you look out, it's like, is it that kind of flat, or it just means it's flat? Like, I don't know. Anyways, sometimes I think of it like there's a pool of water in heaven, very large pool. And there's like a drop on the pool of water. It's very still, this pool. There's a drop of water on this pool, and that's the universe. And it's like when you drop like some oil in water, how it kind of expands out like that. They say the universe is expanding. That's what the redshift thing's all about. But yeah, that's what Paul said. Paul said, I knew a man who was called into the presence of God in the third heaven. And that's what theologists thinks he means, is the third heaven is God's dwelling place. And the atmosphere of earth is the first heaven, universe is second heaven, and God's dwelling place is the third heaven. You don't like Paul? How come? I just heard a interesting theory too, is that some scientists now think that the universe could actually be in a black hole or on the event horizon of a black hole. Now, I'm like Rocket Man. All the science, I don't understand. I like reading about it. I like learning about it. I don't understand all the science, but to me, it's interesting to read. But of course, I read it with a Christian bias. I'm a believer. And basically because I don't know if it's because I believe. I have a good Christian friend who believes in uh, evolutionary creation. He believes that God created and then kind of walked away and just let everything evolve. Um, I don't think I think God is still actively involved in mankind. Um, I read another good book recently called The Sovereignty of God, which is a real eye opener. Paul isn't really not nice, just really not nice. I mean, you have to look at it back in the time, ragtag. I mean, this was a new, they were trying to spread the gospel. That's what the command was from Jesus. Jesus said, go and make disciples of all nations. So, what Paul was doing, he was fighting a lot of heresy in the church. A lot of people said Jesus was not real. They said he was, they said he was like a spirit being. He was, some said that Jesus's body died on the cross, but his spirit did not. That only his body died and that he lived. Again, I don't know all the theology. I don't know all the metaphysics of it, but I do know that Paul, the Apostle John, in his letters towards the end of the Bible, they were combating a lot of heresy in the church, and something he had to deal with. He was basically he was conscripted by Christ to spread the gospel. Well, he didn't hate gay people. I think he was just speaking God's word. He was just speaking God's word. He was saying, this is what the Bible says, you know? Um, it's interesting because, I mean, you can do studies on marriage in the Bible, and I've heard teachers teach it this way. God didn't make Adam and Steve, and he didn't make Eve and Jane. He made Adam and Eve, and that's the pattern that God made. When Jesus was asked about divorce by the Pharisees, who were trying to trap him into saying something that would stir up the people against him, because the Sadducees, the Pharisees, they were already stirred up against Jesus. They hated him. They wanted him dead. They eventually did murder him. But they were trying to stir up the people against Jesus, because then the rule was you can get married and divorced. You can divorce for any reason. So they tried to trap him, and they said, did Moses say that you can divorce for any reason? Jesus said, yeah, but that was because the hardness of their hearts. That basically the men of that day, if you look in Malachi, the last book of the Old Testament, God pronounces a judgment on divorce. God said, I hate divorce. People don't understand marriage is a covenant relationship. You make promises to your partner, and God expects you to keep those promises. Jesus said, by your words you'll be justified, or by your words you'll be condemned. And I think he was speaking in one way specifically about divorce. But anyways, Jesus said God made a man, he made a woman. That's the pattern. And who performed the first marriage ceremony? God did in the Garden of Eden. He made Adam, he made Eve, he gave them their vows to say to each other, and he officiated the first wedding. So, I mean, there's a lot more to this. He also didn't make forks and knives. Is it a sin to eat with utensils? I don't know. I use utensils. Jesus didn't care about the nuclear family. Hmm. Yeah, I think what I just said um, about divorce, I think Jesus taught pretty strongly that God expects a man particularly a man, to keep his vows towards his wife. So I think Jesus, especially when Jesus said, suffer the little children to come unto me, I think Jesus was very pro-family. I mean, I think you can come in with a lot of questions and a lot of biases. But like I said, evidence that demands a verdict. One of the chapters in there is, who is Jesus? Jesus does not give you lots of choices as to decide who he was or who he is. Jesus gave you 3 choices to determine what your position is on who he is. So either he claimed to be the Son of God and he knew he wasn't, which would make him a liar, or he claimed to be the Son of God, but he was delusional, which would make him a lunatic. Or he is who he says he is, the Son of God, God incarnate. I believe he is the Son of God, God incarnate. And I know that's based on faith that I've been gifted by the Holy Spirit. But yeah, you can't say, well, he was a good teacher. Because if he was a liar, so it all comes down to that. Jesus is he's the only religious figure of major religion to ever claim that he would rise from the dead, that he predicted his death with his disciples. He told them, we're going up to Jerusalem and I'm going to be taken captive by the Sadducees, the Pharisees, and the religious leaders of the day, and they're going to crucify me, and 3 days later, I'm going to rise from the dead. He told that to the Jewish leaders in the temple. They wanted proof. All the proofs he gave them. Raised the dead, fed 5,000 people with just a few fishes and loaves of bread. Walked on water. All the things that he did. And you can read through scripture and find all that stuff. Again, it's a historical book. All the things that he did, and they came back and said to him, we want proof. Prove to us that you're the Son of God. And Jesus said, destroy this temple, and in 3 days I'll raise it up again. And they thought he was talking about the temple in Jerusalem, Herod's temple. And his disciples remembered later that he said that and they remembered, and they were like, oh, he was speaking about the temple of his body. He said, destroy me, and in 3 days I will rise from the dead. No other religious leader has ever claimed that they were going to do that. No other religious leader has ever done that. Jesus is the only person who has ever risen from the dead. So you can't say he's a good teacher. He was a good teacher. He was a good man. He was a great philosopher, teaching how to live with your brother, man, and all that stuff. He claimed to be the Son of God. If he knew he wasn't the Son of God, then he was lying about it. And if he wasn't lying about it, but claimed to be the Son of God and he wasn't, then he was a lunatic. Just like lots of other lunatics have said, I'm the Christ, I'm Bonaparte, I'm Caesar. So those 3 choices is what you have. And that's the decision you have to make. That's why Jesus asked his disciples, who do you say that I am? Lots of people were saying that Jesus was John the Baptist raised from the dead. But Jesus asked his disciples, who do you say that I am? And Peter answered, he said, you are the Christ, the Son of the living God. And Jesus said, Blessed art thou, Simon Bar-Jonah, for flesh and blood has not revealed this to you, but it's been revealed to you by my Father in heaven. I'm going to take a break. Yeah, Shroom, see, that's where I come back to the point that if there is a God, God's able to make sure that his record of everything that he's done in the last 6,000 years, he is able to ensure 100% that his record is accurately transmitted to mankind in the Bible. See, that's what I heard somebody say about Charles Darwin today. They called him a philosopher. They said he's not. The PhD on this this video on YouTube, the PhD who was being interviewed said that Darwin was not even a scientist. He didn't perform scientific experiments. He just wrote down his observations and then made kind of empirical pronouncements on them, like this is how it is. And back then people wanted an alternative to the creation account. They wanted something different. Everybody was leaning towards naturalism. They didn't want to believe in miracles. They don't want any miracles. There's no such thing as miracles. Miracles can't happen. It was all naturalism. And Darwin basically filled the vacuum that was there, that was starting already to be filled with ideas about natural selection and stuff like that. Well, the Bible is 100% infallible. But anyways, I'll point you guys to Josh McDowell, Evidence That Demands a Verdict. I believe it's available on Amazon. He's got Evidence That Demands a Verdict, Evidence That Demands a Verdict 2. And then there's also a new one that he just released. I don't know how new it is. Go out of here. I have the first two on in paperback. That's not it. And then I bought this latest updated one, which again, I'm not sure. I'm not sure when that was released. I don't know if they're available on Kindle. Oh, these are actually all from Kindle. Evidence That Demands a Verdict, Life-Changing Truths. This is available on Kindle Unlimited. Life-Changing Truth for a Skeptical World. But if you want the hardcore version, then get Evidence That Demands a Verdict 1 and Evidence That Demands a Verdict 2, because like I said, these are all his notes and stuff that he used for his doctoral thesis when he was in seminary. So let's see. The Bible does have hiccups, like there's multiple creation accounts which are different. One Adam was made first. Second Eve was made first. Well, it just depends on how it's read. I mean, there's a lot of different. Let me take a quick break. I've been on for an hour. That's interesting. What passage says Eve was made first? I've never heard that before. I haven't either. God created Adam, and then he put Adam to sleep, took one of his ribs, created Eve. And then, I mean, if you want to think about something that's really cool, Adam got to name all of the animals. He got to name all the animals. Bible says God brought all the animals to him. So first, God created Adam. God brought all the animals to him. He named them all. The Bible says there was not a helpmeet found for him, so God created Eve. Interesting point. And see, for me, this has kind of been my life since I was like 20 years old. God said, one day I was reading my Bible. I was working at a nursing home. And there was a nurse there, I think, she was an older woman. She was like a trainer. She trained some of us orderlies and staff. And I had a Christian brother who also worked there. And I was reading, and I don't remember the chronological events, what happened, but I remember one day I was reading in my Bible. I was at home, I'm reading my Bible, and I was reading in Genesis. And I read the verse where God says about Adam, he says, it's not right for the man to be alone. And those words jumped off the page at me. I'm like, that's me. That's how I was feeling at the time. I was single. I didn't want to be alone. I didn't have a girlfriend, was never married. I'm like, those words it was like God was sitting right in front of me. It's not right for you to be alone. And I'm just like, whoa. And so I don't know, again, the chronology of it, but this Christian brother of mine, he told me at one point that this trainer, this older woman, told him, she said, Bob needs a wife. Bob needs to get married. And it was right around the same time that I read this, and it just jumped off the page at me. I'm like, but it says in Hebrews that God's word is alive and powerful, sharper than any two-edged sword, dividing asunder. I have to find it. I'll find it when I get back. I tried reading the Bible ragtag when I was younger. I remember when I was a teenager, I was in the library at school. I was probably like 16, 17 years old. I was in the library at school, and I was just thumbing through Time magazine. And full page ad, American Bible Society. Write us at this address, and we'll send you a free Bible. I love to read. I'm like, yeah, sure. Sure, send me a Bible. I got the Bible. I started reading it. I was so frustrated because I didn't understand it. I didn't understand it. I remember one time I was just reading through it and trying to glean some insight, teenager trying to glean insight, why is my life like this? What's going on? Why am I here? What am I doing here? Where am I going? And I got so frustrated with it, and I just threw it down. I don't think I ever got that Bible. I think when my mom and dad moved, they probably donated it to Goodwill or something. But I was so frustrated with it. I didn't understand it. But yeah. Jesus is everyone's favorite anti-capitalist. Well, Jesus told the people, the Pharisees and Sadducees, again, they came to him and they were trying to trap him because Israel was ruled by the Romans. Jerusalem had a Roman governor, Pontius Pilate. The Jews were ruled by a foreign king. Herod was not Jewish; he was Idumean. So the people were upset. They wanted a Messiah who was going to come in and deliver them politically and militarily from their oppressors. That's what they were looking for. But anyways, And I'm just telling you things. You just talk about Jesus being anti-capitalist. Um, so the Pharisees and Sadducees, again, they come to him. They try to trap him because, again, they already have their plans for Jesus made. They want him dead. But they're trying to stir up popular support for their side by trying to stir up the people against Jesus, get him on their side. So they tried to trap him. They came to him one day with a Roman coin. They put it down in front of him. They said, "Is it lawful for us to pay taxes to Rome?" And if he said no, then the Romans are going to get upset, and they're not going to like that. Word's going to get back to Pilate. Pilate's going to bring him up before him and say, "What are you inciting people to not pay their taxes?" If he says yes, then the people are going to get upset with him because they don't want to pay taxes to Rome. So Jesus said, "Give me a coin. Give me a Roman coin." So they gave him a coin. And Jesus looked at it and he said, "Whose image is on this coin?" And they said, "It's Caesar's." And Jesus said, "Well, give to Caesar what belongs to Caesar, and give to God what belongs to God." And it shut him up. It shut him up. The Bible says they walked away astounded at his response. If the coin has Caesar's image on it, give it back to Caesar. But where is God's image? And what do you render to God? Now, I haven't heard this teaching, but this is what I believe. God made man in his image. So I think what Jesus was saying was, give to Caesar the thing that belongs to Caesar, and give to God the thing that belongs to God, the thing that has his image imprinted on it, which is you and me. So I'm going to take a break, and then I'll come back in a little bit, and maybe I'll get through a game tonight of I'm really enjoying this, guys. I really am. But I do have to take a break. Yeah, I think that was more of an idiom back then, Shroom. Is more of like a saying than and I can't think of one off the top of my head. Like we have sayings, today, certain things. But yeah, let me take a quick break, and I'll be back in a minute, and hope you guys hang around. Thanks for watching. Okay, I'm back. Thanks for giving me a break. I appreciate it. I'm actually got the game up, I think. Yeah, here we are. I call this my offline game because I did play some of it offline, but this is actually the game that I was in yesterday. Top right. Should show up here in a second. Here it is. Well, the reason Jesus was killed is because he claimed to be the Son of God, and the Jews didn't understand prophecy, for one thing. The Jewish leaders, they didn't understand prophecy. It talks about, I've heard the Bible described as the red thread of redemption. If you go back to the Bible, Adam and Eve. Now this is my theory too. I haven't heard it described this way, but the Jews at Passover were told to get a lamb 1 year old without spot or wrinkle, and keep the lamb in their household for 2 weeks, which would then allow the family members to basically fall in love with the lamb. And then they were told to slaughter the lamb. It's part of the covering for their sins. So if you go all the way back to Adam and Eve, when Adam and Eve sinned and they knew they were naked, the Bible says that God made for them coats of skins. So basically, God slaughtered an animal or animals and made them clothing to cover up their nakedness. Well, I think the animals that were slaughtered to make them clothing were lambs. Jesus being the Lamb of God. So Jesus was killed because he claimed to be the Son of God. And again, going back to the Garden of Eden, God told Eve that in childbearing she would have pain. Apparently, if Eve had conceived and had a baby in the garden, she wouldn't have had any pain. But when they sinned and were expelled from the garden, God's pronouncement was on Eve was, one of the pronouncements was that she would have pain in childbirth, and that the Lord told her, well, let me find it because I want to be at least somewhat accurate. Great resource here, John MacArthur, Grace to You, the Study Bible. It's a great resource right on your phone. Let's see. So this is after this is what he spoke actually to the serpent. Because you have done this, deceiving Adam and Eve, cursed are you more than all cattle, and more than every beast of the field. On your belly you will go, and dust you will eat all the days of your life. I will put enmity between you and the woman, and between your seed and her seed. He shall bruise you on the head, and you shall bruise him on the heel. So that is a direct prophecy of the coming of Christ. Christ being the seed of the woman, and that Christ would bruise the serpent, the devil, on the head, which is a fatal blow. So the devil's been defeated by Christ's death and resurrection. And you shall bruise him on the heel, which is the crucifixion. So I mean, you're talking about, this is Genesis chapter 3, verse 15, and already we have a prophecy about the coming of Christ. And then you go through the whole Old Testament. It's all about the coming of Christ. It's all about the genealogy of Christ. It's about the coming of Christ. The NRS view, I think this one is, I think this, yeah, this is the NASB, New American Standard. I actually did get a copy. It was so cool. I got a offers from John MacArthur's ministry, Grace to You, for a copy of the new version. And I don't even remember what it's called, but it's the new version. It might be the Living NSRB. And he was offering a free copy. And I got that, and I gave it to my daughter for Christmas. So that was very cool. It's the copy that he's currently using. He says it's the most accurate biblical translation that we have right now. So I thought that was very cool. John MacArthur Study Bible. In fact, this study Bible here, John MacArthur's like one of the leading authorities on the Bible that we have today. He's a Greek scholar. He knows the Greek language like he knows English, his native tongue. And he exposits the Bible, meaning he doesn't do like Joel Osteen, who just says rah rah rah, the Bible's great. He exposits the Bible, and he teaches the Bible verse by verse by verse. He goes through verses, and he uses the best way to interpret the Bible is with the Bible. That's the best way to interpret Scripture, is with Scripture. What's it called? The NRS view? I'm not sure about all the... I use the MacArthur Study Bible. Let's see, I'll go out of this. Close that. Yeah, it's got featured sermon. Let's see. Go back over here. So there's featured sermons. Can you guys read those? Yeah, featured sermons, devotionals, my passengers, study resources, settings, share about. I want to start reading the devotionals. I've read through the Bible a couple of times. But I want to start doing devotionals because I feel like those kind of more hit home, and you can allow the Lord to speak to you. New Revised Standard Version, updated edition. I think that's the one that they were offering as a free Bible through Grace to You. Now, when I go in here, there's the ESV, there's the NASB, New Revised Standard, and I have the King James. So I think I'm not exactly sure. I'd have to look at the Bible that it's up in my daughter's room. I don't want to go up there and wake her up. But yeah. So let's see if we can get through. The first thing I got to do, Ragtag, is I got to go in and I got to look at my scouting, and I got to try to get in some more free transfers, because my squad is... Now, you told me yesterday not to worry about the match load. I got very heavy. I got a lot of guys in here with very heavy, and you said, don't worry about it. I'm worried about it. I am worried about it. I've got these Girl Scouts coconut caramel bites. They're really good. They're too good. I'm gonna have a few of those. I got a few pretzels. I got my ginger ale, my ever-present Canada Dry ginger ale. These are not product placement. I'm not getting paid for this. I'm just showing you what I like. My next game is 21st. Just had the game against Taunton. We won. We won 4-0. Taunton's down here now on 16 points. We're up to 29 points. So they do have a few days to recoup. Our next game is we got 1, 2, 3 days to rest. So I know, did I already put these guys on rest yet? I know you said I shouldn't rest them. Now let's see. Now see, I've rested them the last few weeks, and they've all been in pretty good shape. Now I know resting affects greatly reduces fatigue, increases condition. It does. So really, the only negative impact it has it slightly increases happiness. It reduces team cohesion and reduces sharpness. So see, my team cohesion is really good. And we're doing really good on all these other ones too. No issues in the club. What was the one? Sharpness. It reduces sharpness. Oh, right here. But you know what? My sharpness on all my players is really pretty good. I mean, this is like, who played in this match? I think Ash played in it. I don't know if Dawson played it. I can look at the match report and see who was in here. Stobbs was in here. So Tomlinson, Marshall, Martin. Let's see where they are. Tomlinson, Marshall. See, he just played in this match, and his sharpness is right up there. I think Jesus was against drunkenness. You don't like ginger. Oh yeah, ginger ale is tasty. Hey Shroom, have you ever had Bundaberg ginger beer? It's not alcoholic. I had to go through several conversations with my wife about it. It's just named ginger beer. It's not alcoholic. There's no alcohol in it because she thought it was beer. But yeah, Bundaberg ginger beer. If you ever get a chance to try it, it is so good. It is so good. Do you think Jesus was against alcohol? No, I don't think he was against alcohol. I think he was against drunkenness. Now, the Bible talks about Jesus in the book of John going to the wedding at Cana, and Jesus turned the water into wine. And the people that tried it. Now, see, back then there was a difference in the amount of fermentation that was done. So it wasn't. So the wine did not have a high alcohol level, if any at all, because of the way they fermented it. Again, I have to defer to like teachers like John MacArthur, who's actually taught on this, about it. Proverbs warns about drunkenness. There's just a lot in the Bible that warns about drunkenness, the dangers of it. So I think Jesus was warning about drunkenness. I don't think he taught about, he wasn't, I don't know if he taught anything about alcohol specifically. I mean, I enjoy a beer. I like IPAs actually. Right. I mean, but there's levels of fermentation. The longer you ferment something and the way you ferment something can lead to more levels of alcohol, higher levels of alcohol. That's what they do. That's what they strive for now. But I mean, you like beer, Ragtag? You guys like beer? Um, my wife and I, before our daughter was born, we were at a Yard House, in a mall area. You hate beer? Uh, or there's this beer. It's made by this company called Dogfish Head. And they make a 60-minute IPA, they make a 90-minute IPA, and they make a 120-minute IPA. Well, the 120-minute IPA is like 18% alcohol, but it's delicious. So we went to this Yard House, and Yard House is a place where they have about 100 beers on tap, ranging, the gamut of different styles of beer. Well, I had previously, I'd had the Dogfish Head 90-minute IPA. The 60-minute, I had had the 90-minute. I'd never had the 120-minute. I'd never seen it in any stores. But we went to this Yard House and they had it on tap. And I'm trying to remember now. It may not have been 18%. It may have been more like 13 or 14%. I could look it up. But the beer was it was like maybe 8 ounces because it was so strong, so high alcohol content. They wouldn't serve it anything larger than 8 ounce. And it was $18. That's where I got the 18 from. It was $18. And I bought two of them. I had one. It was delicious and probably one of the best IPAs I've ever had. It's hard to find. And then after I had that one, I had another one. And it was so good. I don't drink to get drunk. I drink a beer occasionally. Like my family and I went out to a Mexican food restaurant. I had Mexican hamburger. That's my favorite dish. And I had a couple of Corona. No, I had one Corona because they didn't come back to the table. They were real busy. I think it was on Father's Day. They were real busy. I had one beer. I was going to order another one, but they didn't come back to the table on time and we were ready to go. But yeah, I had a Corona with lime. I love Corona with lime with Mexican food. It's delicious. But I usually only drink uh, a beer if we go out for a meal or something. Okay, yeah. Yeah, I don't think it was 18% on the it was $18. So let me try to get an accurate um dog fish. No, not doggo. 120-minute IPA. Okay, yeah. it says the ABV is 15 to 20%. I'm pretty sure it was $18 um, for one like 8-ounce snifter. They'll serve it in a snifter like a brandy glass. I remember being at a restaurant where they brewed their own beer. They had barrels in the basement where they kept it at like 55 degrees. And then they had a hand drawn pump, so they did not pump CO2 into the beer to bring it up into the line and bring it up into the glass. They had hand pumps. They pumped it up out of there, so there's no like any added fizz or bubbles or anything to it. I'm trying to remember. I talked to the guy. He was the bartender. He wasn't the owner. He was the bartender. And it said on the menu that this one beer was like 6%. I think it was what's called Lancer. I'll have to look that one up. Um, but I asked him, I said, it was aged in the keg, fermented in the keg, aged in the keg, and they allow the fermentation to continue. Um, and so he said, I said, what's the ABV? He said 6%. I said, well, it's aging in the keg though, right? You've added additional sugar or yeast or whatever to combine with the sugar to make the alcohol. I said, so, you've added that to continue fermentation in the keg. I said, so what's the true ABV? He looked at me and he said, 6%. I was like, okay. Meaning it might be higher than that. But that's what we're saying. That's what we're going with. It's probably higher than that, but that's what we say it is because that's how it's designed to be made. I just kind of laughed. I'm just kind of like, okay, all right, that's fair enough. It's like he's saying that's my story and I'm sticking to it. If like the state liquor board or whatever, whoever can, monitors all that stuff, they came in, they asked him, okay, you've got additional fermentation going on in the keg and stuff like that. It said right on the menu, I think, on the beer menu, it said, fermented in the keg. If they came in and asked him, what's the ABV of this beer, he would have said 6%. That's what my boss told me to tell you. So I kind of chuckled and like, okay, fair enough. But yeah, it's that Dogfish Head 120 minute. That was delicious. And I think the reason they call them that, the 60 minute, the 90 minute, the 120, is because they're kind of giving you a warning based on the alcohol level of the beer because the alcohol level goes up on each of them. Kind of like, nurse this one, for about a couple hours. So, okay. Yeah, my ragtag, my biological father was an alcoholic. Kind of sad. I remember when I was a kid a few times him abusing my mom. Um, I never really, I didn't really know him, and I never held really any grudges towards him. He reached out to me later in life. When I was maybe in my 30s, early 30s, to communicate, and I never responded. I don't know. I just never felt like like I said, I didn't have any ill feelings towards him. I just like, I don't know you, and I probably should have reached out to him. Because it looks, he was making an attempt. Um, but yeah, I just have some vivid memories and that's what alcohol does. You can blame it on the person. The person is imbibing the alcohol, and they're getting out of control. I remember what if you guys ever seen the movie Rooster Cogburn, not Rooster Cogburn, True Grit, the original with Kim Darby and John Wayne. If you haven't seen it, great, great movie. But anyways, John Wayne's character, he plays Rooster Cogburn. He offers some moonshine to Kim Darby's character, who's you can tell she's a very straight and narrow girl, young girl. And she says, I will not put a demon in my mouth to steal my brains. Something like that. And that's always stuck with me. It's like, yeah, I mean, if you drink too much, it'll steal your brains. So let's see. I wonder if I can play a game. Let me delete this one. Let me start again. Put it on an hour. Okay, yeah. Well, there's other things to do. That's something I heard about a long time ago when I was in working. And they said binge drinking. They said if you drink like more than, if you do binge drinking and you drink more than like, if you get drunk more than like once or twice every couple of weeks, that's called binge drinking. That's a form of alcoholism. It's not just drinking every day. It's not, drinking and hiding it. If you drink to get drunk more than a couple of times, more than once a week, I guess you would say, they consider that a form of alcoholism. So who's I going to look at here? I was going to look at my last match. And we're going to look at the match report. And I wanted to see how these guys reacted. It'd be nice if there was a way to see how many minutes they played. But with 46 passing attempts and 78 percentage, they probably played a good part of the game. So Marshall Booth Martin. Let's go back over here and look at Marshall Booth Martin. Marshall is he's very sharp. Probably because they just played a match, right? So it says that Marshall Booth, he's very sharp. Martin is very sharp. It says rest greatly reduces your sharpness. But I think I rested them a day. Greatly reduces fatigue, condition. Fatigue's what leads to injuries, right? But thanks for the follow, Alpus. Welcome to the channel. Appreciate it. That's too bad. Yeah, like I said, my biological dad was alcoholic. I don't know if it killed him or the last I heard, he was actually getting some, he was going to enter a place to dry out or whatever they call it. So I hope he eventually was able to dry out. Yeah, that's sad. Very sad. And at one point in my life, to be honest, I could have seen myself going that way. And thankfully, I did not. You ever make enough money, you want to tear down all the pubs? You know what? They'll find a way. I mean, look at prohibition in the U.S. They found a way. Making beer, alcohol is very easy. They'll find a way if they're driven to do it. I'm sorry, I'm just eating a pretzel bit by bit. Yeah, thanks, Albus. Appreciate it. Yeah, we've run the gamut today with the chat. Trying to think. We started talking about oh yeah, I started talking about we started talking about movies. Not to rehash everything, we started talking about movies. Um, I explained how I don't like horror movies. My favorite genre of movies is a comedy. I love comedies. I like The Lord of the Rings. Um, I think I actually saw the Ralph Bakshi Lord of the Rings. If you guys are familiar with that, it was animated Lord of the Rings, kind of animated, um, real life, kind of a combination of that. He did Ralph Bakshi did the Fellowship of the Ring and the Two Towers, but he never completed it. I don't think he never did the Return of the King. I saw the Rankin Bass version of The Hobbit on TV when I was a kid. Read The Hobbit when I was a kid. Read The Lord of the Rings. I think I've read The Lord of the Rings twice. Read The Silmarillion. Um, so Tolkien's probably my favorite, like fantasy. He's not sci-fi. My favorite sci-fi is Isaac Asimov, but yeah. So I just do not like. Yeah, exactly. Libraries, um, playgrounds. Yeah, yeah. Build a build a rehabilitation center, community center. You know. There you go. Now you're talking. Make a few football pitches. Yep. Let's see. So I think I did this last time. I think I took everybody who was in the squad and I arrested them for one day. Everybody who was in the squad and on the bench. Mark Halstead has been playing quite well of late. I just wanted to say that. Praise his recent form. What is he? He is a balanced personality. So the last time I praised a balanced personality, I put my arm around him because that seemed to work before. I put my arm around him. I said, "You're doing really good," and it was Ash. It was Brad Ash. And I put my arm around him because he has a balanced personality and it's worked before. I put my arm around him. I said, "You've been training really well lately." And he was annoyed. So you are Welsh, right? I think we talked about that last time, Ragtag. Yeah, my biological father's family, mom and dad were first generation Americans from Wales, right? Parents are Welsh. And then my mom's side of the family, my grandpa, his dad was from, or it was either his dad or his grandfather was from Lincolnshire in England. And he came over and he married an American Indian woman. And so I think it was actually my grandpa's dad. So it'd have been my great grandpa because I worked it out where I think my grandpa would have been quarter. No, my grandpa would have been half American Indian. I'm not sure how the whole genetics thing works out. Born and raised in England. Been there a couple times. Loved it. Want to go back. I don't know if I'm too old to go back now, but I loved it. So let's praise Mark Halstead. He actually has been really good. It wasn't this past week, I don't think, but the week before, three of my players got into the team of the week in our division, and Mark was one of them. So your form's been good recently. I hope it continues. He's pleased. Not much of a change there. Praise Lewis Collins. Praise his form. I'm pleased with your recent form. Should I say I'm pleased or delighted? I'm going to say I'm pleased. Slightly positive. Coach, leave me alone. I don't know. That's why I usually don't do that stuff. I usually don't. So Brad's morale is quite good. He's very happy, satisfied. But when I talk to him, he's annoyed. Oh, gee. Gotta love this game. I think I did quick picks to get this. Our game is in still a couple days away. I think I'm not sure what the starting 11 is I'm gonna use yet. Let's go back to the mailbox. I don't think I've even clicked continue yet today. Vanarama South Entertainment at the Halcyon Wealth Longmead Stadium. Tunbridge and Avley. Let's see if one of my players got player of the week. Nope. So my striker, forgive me for not knowing his name, Jarvis. Aaron Jarvis. He had a hat trick. He had like a 9.5 in one of the matches. They didn't give him player of the week though. They gave player of the week to somebody who had 2 goals and had like 1 or 2 points below the rating that Aaron Jarvis had. I'm like, he had a hat trick. Give him the player of the week. If you ever make anything for streaming, you're going to put it all toward getting a player for your team. Your real life team, make a one-time donation. Who's your team, Ragtag? Who's your team in real life? Just welcome into chat, everybody. I told the story. 2010, U.S. was playing in the World Cup. I think they got into the round of 16. I don't think they made it out of that round though. But that kind of piqued my interest again in football, European football, real football, not American football. Because American football is actually throw ball or handball, because you touch the ball with your hands most of the time, not with your feet. So yeah, it piqued my interest in European football. I started watching on NBC, I believe it was, and the first few games that I saw, it was Chelsea, and Chelsea had at the time they had Didier Drogba, John Terry, Frank Lampard. They had Nicholas Anelka. They had Kevin De Bruyne back then. I saw Mohamed Salah play for them. What was his name? He was a right back. Oh, Azpilicueta played for them also. And so the first like 2 or 3 matches, I think they had Chelsea played every week for those first couple of matches that I saw. And I like their style of play. I think they won. I'm like, oh, Chelsea's my team. Okay. Chelsea's my team. And then later I talked to this guy that I knew. I'll call him my bartender, because I used to go to a Rock Bottom near where I live, and I'd go there like on Sundays, and we'd talk some soccer, and I'd have a beer and dinner or whatever. It's before I got remarried. And he was a Liverpool fan. Great guy. Still, he moved back to Texas with his family, but we're still friends. Um, Still chat occasionally about our kids. But anyways, he's a Liverpool uh, fan, and he said to me, "You know, Chelsea's owner, right?" I'm like, "No." The owner's Roman Abramovich. He's a Russian oligarch. He got all his money, shady deals or whatever that he made in oil. And I'm like, so I like the team. I didn't I didn't pick the team for the owner. I picked the team because I like the team. I like their style of play. Who was the coach back then? Who was the coach? I can find out. Um, I was trying to remember though. I mean, I saw Carlo Ancelotti as the coach. I saw Jose Mourinho as the coach. The year that they won the Champions League for the first time, Roberto Di Matteo, I think, was the coach. He was like an interim coach. He took them to the Champions League final. They won at the Alliance Arena in Germany against Bayern Munich. They won in penalties. They got there with a like last minute header by Didier Drogba that went into the top right corner of the net of the goal, and then they won on a Didier Drogba penalty kick. It was the last kick of the game. They won the game. But yeah, this friend of mine said, "You know who the owner is, right?" I'm like, "No, I didn't. I didn't pick him for the owner. I didn't go. Well, let's see who's the best owner. That's the team I'm going to follow." Um, but yeah, that's when I started following soccer, and I love it. I love the game. It's a great sport. It is the beautiful game. It is the beautiful game. You'll dox yourself. You can't say who your favorite team is. Well, I don't have to contribute money to my favorite team to buy a player because they got all the money. They got tons of money. Too much. Gets them in trouble. All right, let's go. Continue. International Roundup. I've compiled match reports on the Torquay United players involved in the recent international matches. Dylan De Silva, he's the only international player that we have. He plays for Sri Lanka. They lost to Uzbekistan, looks like 5-1. He was a 6.4 with 1 assist. Hey, he assisted. So that means Dylan Silva is back. So he's going into the team. He's resting. His injury susceptibility is high. His sharpness is good. He's medium. His morale is really good. Yeah, so so my team is the team that had the Russian oligarch. And I got a beef. I got a beef with the English FA. I'll tell you that. Because when Roman Abramovich went and bought Chelsea, and I don't know all the details of the purchase or whatever, he's basically welcomed with open arms into English football. Yeah, come on in, Roman. Bring all your money over here. Sure, come on in. Make this team better. They're in the heart of London. Make this team, a Premier League champion. Make this team a Champions League champion. Do it. Bring all your money over here. We like your money. That was in what, 2004, 2003? And then 20 years later, they're like, we don't want you here anymore. You got to sell your team. We don't want you here because of what was happening between Russia and Ukraine. I'm like, oh, yeah, yeah. How hypocritical can they be? Oh, we love you. Come and bring your money in. Bring your money in. They knew exactly where his money was coming from. You can't tell me that Russian or that English intelligence didn't know everything about this guy. And what do? They invite him in. Yeah, come on in. We want you. We want you in our English Premier League. We want you here. Get into bed with us. We want your money. Come here. And then 20 years later, like, nope, we don't want your money anymore because it makes us look bad. Get out. I'm like, how hypocritical can you be? How hypocritical as a football association can you be? And so they bring in Todd Boehly. You know, Todd Boehly's like, he's like Abramovich's younger brother as far as spending money goes. I mean, people talk about Abramovich coming into the Premier League, buying Chelsea, coming to the Premier League and buying championships. You know, just laying out tons of money for players. Well, what has Boehly done? Boehly's done the same or worse. I don't know. All I know is that Jose Mourinho is an idiot for letting go of two of the best players ever in world football, Kevin De Bruyne and Mohamed Salah. Yeah, they both played for Chelsea under Jose Mourinho, the manager. And Mourinho, they wanted to play more. And I did see Kevin De Bruyne play. He played on the right-hand side in one game that I saw. And he was just marauding up and down on the right-hand side. He was just everywhere. Mourinho didn't want to play him. He wanted to get game time. So Mourinho said, okay, I don't know if he went on loan first to Wolfsburg and then they signed him. But then the same thing happened with Salah. Salah wanted playing time. Now, I remember the times I saw Salah play. I don't know that he was that good. I think his game was still developing. But yeah, so Mourinho didn't want to play him. Salah wanted to play. Mourinho says, you're not ready yet. So he goes to, where did we decide he went to? Ragtag? He went to a club and then he went to Roma, Fiorentina, I think it was. And then he went to Roma. And then from Roma, he went to Liverpool, and there's no stopping him. There's no stopping Kevin De Bruyne. There's no stopping Mo Salah. But Jose Mourinho, I mean, now I think De Bruyne did say that maybe he was trying to rush his career a little bit too much. He wasn't being patient enough, and Mourinho told him he needed to be patient. And he didn't want to be patient. He wanted to play. But how do you develop your young players? You play them. De Bruyne, I mean, he might have been 21 years old, 22 years old when all this came down. But yeah, two of the greatest players ever to play the game, probably top 100 players in football all time. And he's gone. Let's see, we've lost a few people. Thanks for hanging out, everybody. Let's see if we can get through some of this. So he did well. His international match reports, 16 appearances, 1 goal. They lost 5-1. He did well for Sri Lanka, playing the whole match and creating a goal. Played 90 minutes, 6.4 rating. His condition right now is excellent. 1 assist, 1 key pass. He completed 23 of 30 passes. That's 77%. He had 1 of 3 tackles that he completed, 33 headers, 2 of 7, and shots. He was 1 for 1 on his shots. I think that's shot attempt, shot on target is that 1. It's not a goal. So you can see here he's 2.5 stars right now. His potential is 3.5 stars, which would be very good for our division. Post-match analysis. This is us and Taunton. We were under pressure for a lot of the match. We were. Taunton had a lot of possession, but we had 4 goals. They had none. We won the match deservedly as we created better opportunities than our opponents. Yeah, our XG was 2.55. Theirs was 1.43, but they did not score. Completed a decent number of passes. We completed 311 passes. We conceded none of the 7-shot attempts from inside our penalty box. They completed a decent number of passes also, 390. I think that's how they maintain possession. I think I looked at the heat map, and I think that's how they maintain possession, was more in the central area of the field, just passing the ball back and forth. But you've got to create chances. You can't just... Possession doesn't do anything for you unless you are trying to create chances. Apparently they were not. Oh, I was going to go and look at scouting, right? I need to find training, scouting. Players in range. I basically need a left back, I need a right back. So what I'm looking for is I'm looking for players that I've got 3 players here. Jack Stops can play on the left or the right. Dylan De Silva can play on the left or the right, but he's more effective on the left. He's more effective on the right. I play him on the left, though, because my right winger is Collins, and he is more effective on the right. I got Brad Ash. He can play in these positions here. Christos Kourichanis, he's 2.5 star now. So he's moving up there pretty quick. It says 2.5 star here in his role. Okay. I usually have him playing on the right, so he's up to 2.5 stars. I think he started at 1 star at the beginning of the season. So I do need another forward. And they said the way to do this, I could use another central defender too. Because this guy's only 20 years old. He's 1 star. He's from the youth team. He's not really fit to play for the first team. Ollie Tomlinson is developing, but he's got a way to go to get even to 2 stars yet. My starters are Moxie and Ross Marshall. Austin Booth is a backup. He's 2 stars with 3.5 star potential. Austin Booth can play in the center or on the right. Moxie can play the center or the left. Marshall can play the center or the right, but the right side he's only competent in, unconvincing. Although I have played him there before. So I could use a new center back. I've got Martin and Weston. Weston's alone for the right side. I've got Krask and Tomlinson. I could use another right back. I could use another center back. So let's go with that for right now. Go players in range. Central defender between 15 and 30. Loan status, we want his loan status to be listed. Contract status, we want it to be, it can be expiring in 1 year. So what we're going to do is we're going to look for central defenders. I worked in retail. Help us. I have done pretty good. Let's see, where's my schedule down here? Yeah, we're in 3 competitions right now. We're in the Vanarama South. We're in the FA Trophy, which just started. This competition just started, and we've gotten to the first round of the FA Cup where we beat Aldershot 2-1. So I've given up. My goalie's given up 1 goal in the last 4 games, and we've scored 8, 9, 13 goals. My best player is my center forward, my striker. He has like 2 hat tricks in the last like 3 games. He's got 2 hat tricks. So we're doing pretty good. We are, again, we started out in 24th because we had the 10-point deduction because we went into administration in 2022. We ended the season in administration, which means they're looking at putting you into like a receivership to pay the debts of the club because they'd accumulated so much debt. So we started out in 24th with a negative 10 points. And after 19 games played, we're up to 10th place on 29 points. So we had to make up the 10 points. So basically we have 29 points in the league, but we've actually scored 39 points because we had to make up the negative 10 points that we started with. Yeah, we're doing okay. The club management, they want me to finish mid-table, and we're on track to do that. We did reach the FA Cup. We're trying to be competitive in the FA Cup. We're trying to work within the payroll budget, which is nothing. What payroll budget? Right now I'm $25 over payroll. Because I didn't do what I'm about to do initially. I went in and I signed my goalkeeper, my backup goalkeeper. We can go into squad view. So this guy is 22 years old. He played in some of my preseason matches, and he's really good. And so I wanted to keep him. So I'm like, well, I got to sign him to a contract. So I signed him to like a $500 a week contract, and that put me over budget on my payroll. Put me over budget by $25, but I'm like, I want to keep this guy. He's got a lot of potential, and he's playing really well for us right now. Well, a lot of potential, 2.5 stars. It's a good rating for the senior team. He can play like Mark Halstead. I think he's gone down. I think this guy has gone down. I think he was actually projected to be 3 stars. And I thought, well, he's 22 years old and Mark Halstead's 33 years old. So eventually he might be able to take over Halstead role, but I don't think he will. I mean, it could always change. His rating could always change. So what I need to do is I need to go into scouting. I need to go back here to players in range. I need a center back. And these guys just basically told me click on the first one. Now I probably want to get one from a team that's higher than us. So we are in the Vanarama National League South. which is the counterpart to the Vanarama National League North. And so the other player that I got on a free loan was from a team higher up. So this is the Welsh League, JD Simru or Kumru. So I kind of want to try to find a player from like Kidderminster. He's rested. Who is he? He's a center back. Is he a starter though? I don't have any information on him. Is he a starter? Kidderminster. What is their tactics? Senior squad. Doesn't look like he's a starter. He'd be a backup. What's his name again? Javon Brooks. Oh, he is listed for loan. Well, that's good. So we want to go back to Kidderminster. We want to look at their tactics. Senior squad. Javon Brooks. He's down here. Scouting report. Scouting required. 6.74. You know, it's kind of sad, but I need a body. They're probably going to tell me that they're not interested in doing a free loan because they're telling me that his services are no longer required. He's on $350 a week. So it shows he's got 1 star. World reputation. Okay. Fairly good. Half a star is fairly good. Okay. So I think this is actually sorted by salary. Yeah. So let's go in and just give an offer, make an offer. So we go here, we go to transfer, we go make an offer, listed for loan. We're going to do a loan offer. We're not going to pay any of his salary. We're not going to do anything. I'm going to call him he'll be a squad player. So what this means here is that the proportion of the player's salary will be paid by the loaning club when the player is playing in the first team. The loaning club is me. So I guess in England and Europe, whatever, when you loan something, that means you borrow something. Here in the US, when you loan something, it means you're giving it to the borrower. You're the loanee, they're the borrower. At least that's my understanding of the semantics of the word. There, I'm the loaning club. I'm the one that's taking him on loan, and they are the lender, basically. They're lending him to me as I take him on loan. So all I know is I was told to leave this at 0. So my monthly contribution to his salary will be nothing. And their contribution will be 1.5K because I think they're paying him $350 a week. That's $1,200, about $1,300, I guess. So let me suggest the terms. He's going to be central defender, can play in cup matches. Loan cannot be terminated. Should I take that off of there? I'll suggest the terms and see what they say. Kidderminster require a playing salary contribution of 100%. Yeah, see, they don't want to Now, this happened to me initially when I found Weston. He was with Hull. So the first couple that I checked, they pretty much said the same thing. Both clubs actually said for the players that I was trying to loan to get from them for not paying any money for them because I have no money. They both said they wanted me to pay 40% of his wages. And I said no. And then I found Weston, who was playing for Hull, and they said, okay, you can have him. We'll pay his wages while he plays for you. I think he's loaned out to me till the end of the year. So so that's what I'm trying now, but with different players now. What time is it? 11:42. I don't think I'm going to get to a game this week or tonight. Because I'm going to try to find out if I can find a center back and a right back. It's got to be players in range. And I don't know if the higher in salary that I go, it may be that the higher in salary that I go, the less chance. Well, let's look at Weston. Weston's contract is, yeah, he's contracted to Hull, making $500 per week, and Hull is paying salary for the duration of the loan, which is a year. So I have him all year, and they're paying his salary $500 a week. So really, I should be able to just scroll down here and up to. There are clubs that would be willing to pay out. Now, the reason they didn't want to do that, I think, is because the reason Kidderminster didn't want to do it is because they wanted him gone. He is excess to their. It says right here that he is excess to their requirements. So this player has been listed for loan as the club no longer required his services. So, yeah, they're not gonna pay for him when they don't want him anymore. Basically, is Hull is paying for Weston because they want me to try and develop him. That's why they're willing to pay his salary. That they're agreeing that I'll play him and develop him, and they'll pay his salary, and that gives me a left back that I desperately needed, and that gives them a player being developed. So let's go here, back up here, players in range. So he was the first one that we saw that wasn't part of Vanarama North or South. Skybet League 2, Grimsby. They don't have a role for him to play. Now, see, they may be willing to give him to me, $375 per week. They may be willing to give him to me to play him. I should probably go back and look and see if I have any information on him. Jamie Bramwell. Do I have any information? All I know is he likes to play center back, and he's a natural at midfielder, central midfielder. So let's go to make an offer, loan offer. Let's see if the loan cannot be terminated. Suggest terms. Nope. See, they want me to pay 20%. Now, see, I could get maybe he's a good left back or a good center back, central defender. I could get him for $150 a week. No, $75 a week. When he's playing, I'd pay the other team $75 for every week that he plays. When he's not playing, I would pay him $75 for the week that he's not playing. They require a player salary contribution of 20%, which is it's $75. Board. Give me $75. Give me $75. They got $250,000 in the bank. They made this this month they made $147,000 in profit. I mean, come on. Income this month, $350,000. I want to see where was this game played? This is only 1007 and I got a bunch of money for the gate. I don't think it was for this game. That's something I have to start looking at, paying attention to. Okay, they want $75 a month. They want $75 a month. The board will not give it to me. I've already asked the board multiple times, and they will not give it to me. Look, they're in League 2, which is 2 divisions, 2 leagues above us. We're in Vanarama National South, and then above us is Vanarama National, and then above Vanarama National is League 2. He's probably pretty good. He's probably a pretty good player for $75 a week, and the board will not give me the money. I'm trying to sell players. I'm trying to get players out on loan. I'm trying to get players out on transfers to get some money, to generate some money, and I can't do it. In fact, probably part of this whole process is trying to get some money in for players. Let's go back to the squad. I've been using, the only thing is, I've been using, where is he? Kevin Dawson. I've actually been using him a lot. He's one of my highest paid players. He's making $1,100 a week. What could I do with that one player who's been playing for a team that is 2 divisions above me? What could I do with him and maybe others with this $1,100? I could probably get a whole new team in. But I've been using him. I need to use him because I'm kind of light also in midfield. McGavin was injured. My other midfielder, Asa Hall, was really tired. Let's see, Tom Lapsey was tired. Plus, they have an affinity. McGavin, Lapsley, and Hall have an affinity where they play really well together. But I mean, he's a good player, but I could replace him. If I go over here to my my midfielders, you can see here, he is my 5th best midfielder, but he's making the most money in the team. 5th best. He's the 4th best defensive midfielder. I think I'm going to list him again. I think I have him listed for transfer. I know it may be difficult finding a suitable club that accommodate your salary demands. So what I'm going to do is list you for a loan. Anybody be willing to pay? I mean, even if I only had to pay 40% of his 1,100, that means I would get 600 from the other club. I'd still have to pay 400 of his salary, but that's a net gain of 200. With that 200, I could get that center back. Oh, man. Agreed playing time, non-selected, preferred position, end of season. Well, let's just put him out there. Let's offer him. Because we could use that money, and like I said, he's down the pecking order. He's making the most money but he's down the pecking order. These guys are much better than he is. So let's keep looking, though, for a player in range. And who did we look at? Oh, you know what? I'm gonna add this guy to my it's gonna do for 1 month. Let's try to find more. Okay, this is Aldershot. That's the team that we just played in the first round of the FA Cup, and we beat them. He is on loan because you can't assure him the playing time he wants. I may not be able to assure him either. But if I can get him for free, I can try to work him into the team. Let's offer him for loan. Aldershot would require a player salary contribution 100%, an unused salary 100%. Well, let's see what they say. You're right. You were exactly right. We're not going to pay $375 for him. So we're going to have to go back down here and look again. Players in range. We want somebody who's playing at a club that's higher than we are. Ooh, the Championship. Why is he on loan? He needs regular first team soccer. Probably not at our level. Probably not at our level. But does it say if he has a side preference? No. He's probably not going to want to play it. Make Huddersfield an offer. Oh, what about the loan offer? They require playing salary of 20%. Here's another one. I can get him for $85 a week. If I can just get rid of Kevin Dawson. I mean, I don't have anything against Kevin Dawson, but he is down in the pecking order for our club. QPR. He is 20 years old. Why is he going out on loan? He's wanted by Gloucester. Let's see if they're willing to make an offer. 20% again. So I'm not even going to bother making the offer because they're not going to accept it. Oh, let's see. George Milner Smith. They can't assure him the playing time he wants. Send him down to me. I'll try to give him playing time. He's 19 years old. We don't know what his we don't know anything about him. He's only 19 years old. He's in good condition. His sharpness is going down. Let's see what they say. Make an offer. They want 100% player contribution. Can't do it. Players in range. Let's keep going. Sky Bet League One. Why do they want it? He's wanted by a bunch of teams. They can't assure him of the playing time he wants. Sky Bet League One is 1, 2. It's like 3 divisions above us. Oh, you also play on the right side. Nice. I'll make you an offer. They want $700. 700%. Or 700. They want 70% of his 300. They want us to pay $350 a week. That's not going to happen. I guess I could actually play this down here, because most of this down here is empty space. Let's go back to scouting. Players in range. We just looked at him, right? We did. We did. Okay. Skybet Championship. Why are they putting him out on loan? They don't have a role for him to play. I do. Look where he plays. He is accomplished at wingback and left side defender, and he is a natural at center back. I know a little bit about him. I wonder how I got this. Look at, how did we get this information? He's contracted to Swansea. They want to send him out on loan. Cannot be registered for the next match. I wonder why. Well, let's make an offer. Oh, I can't loan him. Transfer fee, but then I'd have to negotiate a salary for him and tell him I can't pay you anything. I can't pay you anything, but I can certainly give you playing time. I wonder how we have him scouted, though. He must be somebody that our scout team has scouted. I mean, maybe this is where I just go in the red. I think that's how you say it. When you go in debt, you go in the red. And then hopefully I can loan out Kevin Dawson or maybe one of my other players and get some money to get my money up. Let's see what they say. Suggest term 0. Swansea's willing them to give them to me for nothing. Right? That's what that means. Yeah, I'm paying them nothing. The transfer fee offered for the player, nothing. I wonder why. It says he can't be registered for the next match, but why? That's kind of, I don't know. Maybe that's sure, I'll submit the offer. And then we'll see what comes of that. One of our scouts must have scouted him. Let's see. Skybet League 2, Alex Giles. See if we could get him in on a free. They want 20%, so that's not going to happen. Not right now. Maybe there's a little bit of a, maybe there's a measure of like gambling in this, where you kind of just got to say, I need players to flesh out my squad. I need players. The only way I'm going to get a player is to go negative on my payroll. It's the only way I'm going to get a player, these players, is to go negative on my payroll at some point, and then hopefully loan out a player or players, and loan out a player or players, and like this guy, I'm going to put him out on loan. I don't play him. He's just basically, I think I've actually offered him out on transfer, but I'm put him out for a loan offer. Yeah, I want you to pay 100%. I want you to pay 100% of his salary and offer him for loan. He doesn't play. Can Can I end his loan? Am I paying him? I'm not paying, no. Dorking is paying his salary. Okay. We'll keep him. Who else don't I really play very much? Darren Mills. He's just a youngster, though. I don't want to get rid of my youngsters. Barnes has really turned into a good striker. He's been playing really good. Here's his form right here. I think it's just those two for now. Dawson and Ofori. And then just see what happens and say, hey, hopefully I can send him out on loan. The other team will pay for his salary. And we can get some money in here so that we can do some transfers. So who was next? We looked at Giles, I think. Yeah, we looked at Giles. I'll look at one more here and then I'm going to take off. I got to go to bed. Dion Woodman, he's in the Sky Bet Championship again. The Sky Bet Championship is one division lower than the Premier League. So they are National League, Sky Bet, League 2, League 1. They are 4 divisions above us. Oh, he's injured. How long is he injured for? 7 days and 2 weeks. What's his injury history like? Do we know? Sprained ankle ligaments, major. He was out for 5 months. Wow. Damaged kneecap, out for 20 months. Pulled ankle ligaments. What side? What ankle? So why is he on loan? Liam Edwards, right? No. Dean Woodman. He's wanted by a bunch of clubs. Bath City want him. Well, let's see. If they're paying his salary, if QPR is willing to pay his salary, then they want 20%. That's probably already up there. I just missed it. Let's do one more. Another QPR, central defender. Why are they loaning him? They can't assure him of the playing time he wants. Okay. Well, let's see. Let's offer. Can't offer a loan because there's not enough time left on his contract. Let's see if they'd be willing to do a transfer for no money. Yep. Okay. Let's submit this offer for negotiation. So I'm just telling them these would be my terms if we agree to a transfer. You would have to release him to me. You wouldn't have to, I'm not paying any money for you to release him to me to negotiate with me. So first off, you negotiate with the club. I think it's called a release clause to release him so that I can negotiate a contract with the player. So then I have to negotiate a contract with the player, and then the player either agrees to the contract or doesn't agree with the contract. If the player agrees with the contract, at that point, I can either finalize it or I can cancel it. So there's a lot of wiggle room in this stuff. There's a lot of wiggle room. So yeah, so let's see how much money he wants. That's going to do it for me, though. I'm going to save my game. Back up here. And then I'm going to end. Let me save it again just to make sure. This will only take a few moments. And then we're going to quit the game and exit. Okay, that's going to do it for me for tonight. Yeah, you too, Shroom. I appreciate you coming in. Archelon or Archelon. Thanks for coming to the channel. Thanks for Shroom, thanks for the stimulating conversation that we had earlier. It was very I love talking about that stuff. And like I said, I watched some of these videos today about the James Webb telescope and stuff. Some of the images are just incredible. I mean, they're talking about redshift 20, which they estimate is light reaching Earth from, Big Bang, like 200 to 300 million years after the Big Bang, which they say, which the Big Bang theorists say is like the infant, when the universe was at its infancy, and they're looking out that far with this James Webb telescope. It's just incredible. It's cool because they were showing this one guy. If you're interested, you should look him up on YouTube. Dr. Jason Lisle, Lisle. S is in Sam. And he was showing the immensity of the universe and just how the scale of how big things really are. And he started talking about the moon. He said the moon is about the size of the United States. It's about 1/4, I think he said, the size of the Earth. And then they had the Earth up against Saturn. And Saturn is huge. I think, like he said, like 10 or 20 Earths across. And then they put Saturn up against the sun. So they had the moon, the Earth, Saturn, the sun. And then they went to like the nearest star. Eventually, though, they had, what star was it? It's a star in one of the constellations. And it is like, it dwarfs our star. It is magnitudes larger than our star. It's like the Earth in comparison to size, the Earth to our star, and our star to this star. And you just look at this and you just like your jaw just drops open. You're like, huh? And all this stuff is out there in the universe, You're just like, how did all this stuff get there? That's where I started a long time ago. I wanted to be an astronaut when I was a kid. I actually bought a book about astronauts. And I know that you need 75,000. At that time, I think it was the Saturn V rocket. You need like 75,000 pounds of thrust to break the gravity of the Earth, to get into orbit, stuff like that. But yeah, I love this stuff. I love it. It is so cool. I mean, you just look at the immensity of the universe. It's incredible. It's cool because the Bible says that Christ, he holds everything together by his power, and actually the power of his word. He controls everything. he holds it all together. And I think that personally, I think the reason that God created these things this way was to show us who he is, that he is immense, that he is incredibly, unbelievably, indescribably powerful. But then the Bible also talks about a personal relationship. God has personal relationship with his creatures. Just like you look in Genesis, the Bible says God created Adam and Eve. God walked with Adam in the cool of the day, is what God instructed Moses to write. So God walked in the garden with Adam. Let me go back to so God would walk in the garden with Adam, and they had fellowship together. They talk. So, they speculate that sure, God could have given all of this information to Moses, who wrote the first 5 books of the Bible, could have given all this information through revelation, could have revealed all of this information to Moses, but there was only, I think they said there was only 10 generations between Adam and Noah. And that all this information, the one who could have gotten all this information through those 10 generations, just passing it on from generation to generation, was Adam. Adam, and you know how long they lived back then. You can see in the Bible, they lived for hundreds of years before the flood. And they're saying Adam could have actually been transmitting this information through his sons, or it could have been through word of mouth to like Methuselah, who was Methuselah Noah's father? I'll have to look. But yeah, all of this eyewitness information. God created man and woman, thus the heavens and the earth were completed by all their hosts. The 7th day God rested. On the 6th day, he created, I believe it was the 6th day, he created Adam and Eve. Okay, so now this isn't exactly saying that God walking in the Garden of Eden with Adam, but after Adam and Eve ate of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, that God told them, don't eat of it. Their eyes were opened. They realized that they were naked. They sewed fig leaves together and made themselves loin coverings. And then in Genesis chapter 3, verse 8, Moses writes, they heard the sound of the Lord God walking in the garden in the cool of the day. And the man and his wife hid themselves from the presence of the Lord God among the trees of the garden. They were afraid because they knew they had sinned. But God, so to me, that sounds like that was God's habit. He would walk in the Garden of Eden, where Adam and Eve were, in the cool of the day, and have fellowship with Adam and Eve. This blows me away. Jesus said, blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. And Adam and Eve had personal fellowship with God. Jesus' disciples had personal fellowship with God because Jesus is God. So God is a personal God. He's not an impersonal God. I don't believe he just created the universe and then just went away. If you read the book of Revelation, you'll see how he's very much involved and current events and events leading up to the end of the age. But I think the reason he created everything, especially, and it's so interesting too, because they brought this point up in this video that I was watching today. Genesis chapter 1, verse 14. Then God said, this was day 4. Then God said, let there be lights in the expanse of the heavens to separate the day from the night, and let them be for signs and for seasons and for days and years. And let them be, so that's the sun and the moon, and let them be for lights in the expanse of the heavens to give light on the earth. And it was so. And God made 2 great lights, the greater light to govern the day, the lesser light to govern the night. And then just kind of like as a throwaway almost statement, he made the stars also. Like, wow. Not only did he make the sun, the greater light to rule the day, and the moon, the lesser light to rule the night, he made the stars also. Like, incredible. It's like God's telling Moses, yeah, I made the sun, and I made the moon. Oh, yeah, and I made the stars. And look at the stars. The stars are just incredible. You know, like I was saying earlier, the reason I believe this is because if God is God, this is what God can do. And so I believe that God is God, and this is what God did. If God is God, he can do all these things. He can do them all in 6 days, rest on the 7th day. And he can also make sure that an accurate record has been passed down through the millennia, the 6 millennia. An accurate record has been passed down to mankind if mankind will just consider it. God's still speaking. He's still speaking today. He's speaking through his word. If God is God, he can do all these things. And I believe God is God, and I believe he did and is doing all of these things. So, anyway, thanks for being part of the conversation. I appreciate you coming to the channel. Hey, Biggie, I'm just getting ready to sign off. I'm tired. The VOD will be up in probably what takes about 15 or 20 minutes for the VOD to process. So, but I got a 6-year-old little girl who's going to want to be up early. So I got to go to bed. Thanks for coming to the channel. Appreciate everybody. I'm going to sign off. I think I'll do my regular outro because I like it. It's so the music for my outro is music that I actually wrote. It's simple, but I like it. My daughter likes it. She likes to dance to it. And then the picture that is in my outro is actually a picture that I took outside of a restaurant. I live in the Rocky Mountain region. It's a picture that I took outside of a restaurant one night. And the sky is just amazing. It's at sunset, and like I said, the sky is just amazing. So anyways, as I like to say, wherever you are in the wide world, whether it's morning, afternoon, evening, or night, put yourself in a position to be blessed and be blessed. And we'll see you next time. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time. Thanks.